Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I generally talk about what I think is coming up, what going on in and around the UK with regards to generally political motivated, but sometimes I move off that. But obviously at the minute it's all about COVID-19, so we're gonna stick with that. This one is to warn you that you're about to see a resurrection. Now, most people think that's going to happen on Easter Sunday. This one, it was always going to happen a little bit later than Easter Sunday. And the resurrection is, guess who? It is yet yours and mine. Good old the buffoon Boris is about to be resurrected. And why do I think that? The press are currently setting the stage for him to come back. Because what they're going to do is, they're going to set the stage of slightly moving it to the government hasn't done a very good job in areas, so some people are going to have to fall. I don't know if the health secretary will go, quite possibly. No doubt he'll want to get rid of Gove because he never liked Gove anyhow, so that'll be his next thing. This is what's going to happen, and this is going to be the death rate is now starting to fall. So he can come back and say, I've got things under control. These lot couldn't manage it. Do you know what I mean? And we're going to start and lift restrictions because that's what it is. So Boris is going to appear. He'll make a miraculous recovery based on the likes of Lazarus, because what he's basically done is he has actually hid through the whole lot because he won't take responsibility. You know, he's an overprivileged little shit, basically, that was probably never taken responsibility for anything in his life, so expecting him to start now is a bit harsh. So the question is, how's that going to affect me and you? Well, that's pretty simple. It's going to affect me and you badly, right? Because what is going to happen next with this is, I think, is going to get really interesting. So we have got a mountain of debt. Most of it obviously has gone to bail out companies, but they've done it through the back door and look like it's going to be bailing out us. We have got an economy that's in ruins. We've got a Brexit that's coming up that's probably not the best time, if there ever was a best time. Do you know what I mean? And we've got Boris who's got to actually make this about Britain and about how we went through this war against this invisible enemy together. So I think the plan will be, moving forward, that actually what they're going to do is they are going to start opening things back up. They need to get the schools back first. Now, the reason for that is actually without that they can't get the low paid workers back. You see, because most of the ones who are going to need childcare are the low paid workers, and that's your biggest part of your employment. So they want it. So they're going to get the skill back so they can get them back. The problem is with that, I guess, as you know, and I know as well, that if there's a place for it to spread, children are the best place to spread the common cold, bar none, and this is a version of that. So expecting it to come, expect the second wave to hit us. I would guess it will probably take again 3 months. So they're probably looking at June, July, and then hopefully what they're going to do is the schools will break for the summer, August, September. But what will happen is through that summer period, you will start to see a spike in coronaviruses again, and a spike in our death rates, sadly, again. You know, and what they will do this time is they will stockpile stuff to hopefully try and get it right. I think the reason that the PPE hasn't arrived is it hasn't arrived. It's the same as way. Have you noticed that the testing hasn't arrived? Is basically that actually they want to look better in the second wave, so everyone forgets about the deaths in the first wave. Now, most people are probably thinking, what are you on about a second wave? Well, there's always going to be a second wave. Unless there's a vaccine in the next 3 months, there's going to be a second wave. As soon as you let people out, it comes again. It is as simple as that. Yeah. Boris doesn't care about the first wave, a second wave, a third wave. What Boris cares about is about how Boris is going to look and what he's going to see him through. So through the second wave, you will see Boris all day, every day. Unless he gets coronavirus, of course. Because there would be some irony if he did that. because I do not personally believe he had it at all. And if people do, then fine. I'm happy for you to think that. But my opinion is this was him being removed at a critical point because the shitstorm was about to happen and he's not going to face the shitstorm. So he's going to see us through the second wave. And he's going to look through the second wave as being some sort of moral victory of what could have been if he wasn't in charge of the first wave. Because this is about him keeping power and being elected and elected and elected, and the rest of his psychopathic team staying with him, basically. And that is all they care about, who they sacrifice. Yeah, Health Secretary Gove, I think, will probably go. Maybe not so much Gove, we'd like to get rid of him, but definitely the Health Secretary. So then the second wave. There will possibly be a third wave if there isn't a vaccine. However, I think the third wave will be so small that people won't really notice it, because this would appear to follow what other pandemics throughout history have followed, that it's coming waves. But I'm sure there'd have been a third, but generally it's either the first or the second one that's done the damage. So we can look forward to Boris returning, Boris taking charge. Boris is the man who killed us, remember. Boris is the man who sent the nurses without any PPE. Boris is the man who said that he shook hands with coronaviruses and you don't need to worry about it. Boris is the man who said, let's take it on the fucking chin, because that's what's going to happen. Boris is the one who wouldn't condemn his own father, who said, I'm going to put bollocks to you, Boris. This was the same Boris that did all this. Boris was the one who missed the Cobra meetings because he'll do anything but work. In case you hadn't noticed, rich people don't work, actually. Rich people get poor people to work and tell them they're fucking lazy. So this is what Boris has done, but we have to forget all that. The trick with the whole concept of the sociopathic system that we currently live in is people have to forget the current events that are damaging to the current Prime Minister of this country. Yeah, so that's what they're going to do, is they're going to make you forget all of them things. And there will be a lot more. Which one do you want? The Cobra Plan, the 2017, the decade of health cuts. Do you know what I mean? Take your pick. But it's interesting that we will not focus on, okay, how do we learn from the mistakes? Well, we don't learn from the mistakes because the mistakes are irrelevant to the people who are dying, because the people who are dying are not them and they don't give a fucking shit, basically. So this is where this story begins and ends, and this is the absolute sort of most frustrating, abhorrent thing I can think of. Do you know what I mean? That we are so controlled that we never are allowed to see the whole picture, because seeing the whole picture would show you the level of incompetence, the lack of care and empathy for anyone. Do you know what I mean? And actually probably be quite happy that a lot of this is happening, because if there's 4,000 dead old people this time and 10,000 dead old people last time, he's gone to some way to sort out the social care problem. And anybody thinks that he doesn't think like that is absolutely delusional in my eyes. Completely delusional, because that's exactly how he thinks. Yeah, he thinks about, how can I make myself look good, and how can I rewrite my bit of history, because that's what's more important to me. And how can I do that without doing fuck all? By the way, Boris, people are down. Well, they did it on £10 an hour. Who really fucking gives a shit if the plebs die? That would be his response in the middle of fucking Checkers, while he's sat up eating the best meals on the taxpayer's expense, doing fuck all, with fuck all wrong with him. Do you know what I mean? But that's basically where we are. So, just to warn you, the resurrection is coming. And actually, in this one, I would say, in that case, fucking God help us, because he's probably the only one that can. Unless people want to get off their arse and do something about it, and actually get mobilised, get angry, get educated, get a look at the facts, and fucking do something about it. Because if not, the second wave of murder is coming. Goodbye.